Hello and welcome to Health and Lifestyle, your weekly health show that brings you expert advice and also lived experience. My name is Mariambo. At KBC Channel 1 on X and KBC Channel 1 TV on Facebook is where you can interact with us. Now, are you a caregiver taking care of a sick loved one? If you've been feeling out of sorts, there is a chance you could be experiencing what you're calling compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue basically is a term that explains when people who spend a lot of time caring for others start feeling emotionally and physically worn out. It's often called the cost of caring because constantly dealing with other people's pain and trauma can really take a toll on your own mental and emotional health. I'll be bringing you details of that in this particular episode, but first things first, coming up in the program.
Huyu shosho ninakaa na yeye alikuwa na watoto, alikuwa na vitu zake, but for now ni kama hana kitu. It is me, my brother,
when the caregiver needs care, Mary Wairimo shares the silent pain of caring for her 125-year-old granny alone.
Create boundaries. Okay. How much is too much? How much do I need to take? So if let's say you start and you start talking, maybe abusing me and insulting me, how much am I able to take that? And maybe share it out with the person that maybe has employed you.
Why caregivers must look after themselves too. Febe Ndongo shares powerful insights on compassion fatigue and on good practice, signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue. To our first segment, Mary Wairimo left her job in Saudi Arabia to take care of her now 125-year-old grandmother back in Kenya. Now, the cost of caring for her granny has not just been giving up on her dreams, it's also emotional and psychologically draining, especially without the support of crucial family members. She shares her story. Let's take a listen. Mama Monica Wanjiko is 125 years old. She lives in this home in Juja, Kiambu County with her granddaughter Mary Wairimo. Because of her advanced age, her granddaughter Mary Wairimo is her caregiver. Each morning, she ensures Mama Monica is cleaned up and ready for the day.
Jaribu sasa kumtengeneza mchange diaper, mfanye hiyo mambo yote. Ndio sana tena baada hiyo tena mpatie chakula. Baada hiyo chakula tena kakaa kidogo mpatie chai. Hiyo vile sasa unasikia anaongea maana imba hivyo. Saa zingine enda muimbe na yeye dakika kidogo. Saa zingine enda ujoku na yeye anacheka. Sasa hivyo ndivyo tunakaa na yeye.
It's a big sacrifice for 49-year-old Mary Wairimo, a mother of two. 10 years ago, Mary made a life-altering decision, leaving her job as a domestic worker in Saudi Arabia to care for the woman who once did the same for her when, at a tender age, Mary lost her mother, who is Mama Monica's daughter.
Nilikuwa nimepanga niende kama ni mara 3. Ningekuwa nimeshanunua plot yangu na watoto wangu wangekuwa sawa.
Due to her old age, Mama Monica suffers dementia characterized by memory loss.
For example, akisema anakuuliza Wangoi. Wangoi is my daughter. Anaweza kukuuliza Wangoi, umwambie Wangoi ameenda job. Akunywe chai hivi mara moja, aweke kikombe chini akuuliza Wangoi. Aya, vile amemaliza kukunywa hiyo chai tu hivi, aweke kikombe chini. Ndio hiyo tena. Mlisema tutakunywa chai. Mlisema atukuli.
Some nights she doesn't sleep at all. Mary says she's learned to function on just a few hours of rest, if any. It's something many caregivers face, compassion fatigue that can also lead to mental stress.
Kuna wakati anaweza kaa siku 2 bila kulala hata usiku. Alale akae macho usiku mzima, ashinde mchana mzima akiongea na kupiga nduru.
With little support, the emotional cost takes a toll on her.
Huyu shosho ninakaa na yeye alikuwa na watoto. Alikuwa na vitu zake. But for now, ni kama hana kitu. It is me, My brother, well wishes.
Caring for her granny round the clock means no source of income for Mary.
Sometimes unapata ameanguka hata ametoa damu. Sasa nikaona hakuna haja sasa ya kusema nitashughulika huko na hii pia nimwachilie.
Although Mama Monica receives the older person's grant by the Kenyan government for senior citizens 70 years and above, it's seldom enough to cover costs of care.
Pia serikali wakiona wanaweza ongezea au wazee waongezee kwa sababu wengine ni wa madawa.
With Kenya's aging population on the rise, she believes it's time for policy to recognize the work of caregivers.
Caregivers pia ikiwezekana watunze na waangalie ndio waweze kupatiana msaada unaofaa kwa ambao wanaotunza.
For now, Mama Monica is lucky to have her granddaughter by her side.
Oh.
Truly the gift that keeps giving, but we must ask ourselves, at what cost? On that note, we take a break. I'll be back with much more on the second part of the program. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And just as you've already seen, Mary Wairimo there taking care of her 125-year-old grandmother. Definitely not a very easy task for caregivers. Now, we want to delve deeper into the issue of, not just dementia, but, caregiving and some of the mental impacts that it can actually have on the caregivers. And to speak to us more about this is none other than Phoebe Ndongo. She is a counseling psychologist. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for joining us in the program. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And just like we've already seen, caregivers have a very huge task.
Yes.
And in this case, we're talking about dementia and the impact it can have on families. So we could call it a medical issue, but not delving into the medical issue. As a psychologist, how do you counsel, if I may put it that way, how do you support families who have this kind of issue within their setup?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you for having me. I think this is a very good discussion about caregiving, because I think it's one of the places that we don't go a lot. Yet it is, we call them unsung heroes, because these are people that will be there for people who are going through a lot of maybe chronic diseases, or who are not able to work or live normally. So when we talk about a caregiver, maybe you would start by asking, who is this caregiver?
Exactly.
And who can be a caregiver? And culturally, in our country especially, we usually see the firstborn being the person who's going to carry the weight of the family. And so sometimes they are, by default, they are made to be caregivers. Not by choice sometimes. Probably it is because there's what we call parent fights. They took those roles when they were young. Sometimes it's because financially they're okay. Sometimes they're even near their parents. And so I'm saying sometimes it's not, it's not on a voluntary basis, but it's because they feel that they have an obligation. Unfortunately, is that at some time when they take these roles, we don't, or the family doesn't seem to even understand or even have them at heart of what they're doing. So a caregiver, of course, will be that person who will call home. How is mom doing? How is dad doing? But even as you're asking that, we don't ask them how they are doing. And so because you don't ask them how they are doing, so they get into what we call compassion fatigue. Because most of the time they are with this person, you can imagine either they are not able to go to washroom. If it is dementia, they are people, their parents are confused. They're not able to talk normally and all that kind of a thing. So they get fatigued. Okay. Unfortunately, nobody gets to know that as a person, they get overwhelmed. They get overwhelmed, physically and even emotionally.
We will get to talk about that in terms of, them getting overwhelmed and all that, because they come out as these strong people.
Yes.
They never cry. They never get tired. And like you said, most of the people who would take up that role could be firstborns at times, or there could be somebody in the family who has been seen to be responsible in one way or another, maybe from a young age. They're able to solve problems like very fast. You know, if you want something done, just know Phoebe. If you just put Phoebe there, everything will be okay. But before we get into all that, compassion fatigue, it's a term that has been used, you know, to describe, can I say, the mental pressure and, you know, that caregivers, you know, go through. But maybe you could actually just break it down for us. What is compassion fatigue?
Okay, compassion fatigue would be you've taken care of this person for a very long time. So you've given everything so that you have nothing else to give. So mentally, physically, emotionally, you're drained. You cannot give anymore, yet you have to be there. Meaning even if you're doing that, you're not actually productive because already you are overwhelmed.
So definitely someone reaches a point where they feel like, I have done this for too long.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's too much on me. But there's a challenge there, Phoebe, because we come from African culture, if I may call it that way. And the African culture is such that we're supposed to help each other.
Yes.
You know, and if you don't, then you must be selfish. Even if you've given all that you can, but if you stop, then you're still selfish. How does that then impact, you know, our society as a whole? Because we have this tradition that we need to help each other. How do we break from that?
Of course, one of the things that we need to do as a family, we need to know any one of us can take care of your parents. It doesn't have to be me because either I'm financially stable or I'm near my parents. The other thing we should know that this parent belongs to all of us. So it can't be, and maybe a simple question, if I wasn't there, what are you people gonna do? So we need to break that into knowing that all of us need to support in one way or the other. And of course, if I'm supporting alone, then I also need your support. I need your support. Just don't just call me to ask me how my parents are doing. What are you doing? I won't mind if you're not financially not okay. Maybe you can call in. You can tell me, maybe this time I'll come and stay around and allow you to take a break or something like that. So we need that support system. You may not be financial okay, but I think just morally being there would help quite a lot.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not just about the money, like you said.
It's not about the
moral,
money.
moral
Yes,
support,
yes,
and all that. You know, I think that the term that is being used is black tax. You know, black tax is where if you're financially able, then everything is about you. Are the one who's taking care of everything. You know, and that somehow has enabled. You know, you become an enabler.
True.
To
become
some
an
people,
enabler.
not to, can I say, you know, venture out there and even try and work harder or something of that sort. But you've mentioned something about, you know, help. But there are cases probably where people feel guilty, like I wasn't there. And we have to also make it clear that caregivers are not just people who take care of, you know, the old parents, you know, when they're sick or anything. This could be anybody.
As you said, we're not just talking about within the family. It could be, I mean, there are people who are employed to do exactly that. You know, they're caregivers, they go home, they go to these people's home. But I think what you're talking about is, by the end of the day, where is this caregiver left? You know, who takes care of them? At what point are they allowed to talk about what they are going through? Probably if we are dealing with a complicated case, sometimes the parents they'll be agitated, they will call you names and that kind of a thing. So going through this guilty trip is one of the things that maybe the caregivers need to just know it is okay not to be okay. Shout it, talk. If you've been going through something, don't keep quiet about it, because by the end of the day, this is what will even create other mental issues. So I think as a country, not okay, as a society, we need to come in and support these people. Allow them to vent out. Allow them to maybe ask them, how are you going? How have you been? How has it been? What have been happening? Then they have life, isn't it? I mean, they have friends and probably they have families. At what point will we allow them not feel guilty that they have let this person and just go out and do what they're supposed to do?
And you know, Phoebe, sometimes it's not even about you know, them feeling guilty that they've left this person. Some people even have a hard time thinking like, if they're not there, then things wouldn't work. We call it, whether it's, I don't know whether it's called the Jesus syndrome or the savior syndrome. They think like they are the savior of the family, they're the savior of the world. Without them, without them having a word put in, then things will never go the right way. So there's also that, it's a problem. So someone needs to recognize the minute you are the person that has to have the final say or whatever it is, then that should be a red flag, like something is wrong. Because we are not, you know, living forever, so, you know, we're not eternal in terms of, you know, our physicality. If you're not there, then who takes care of the rest, you know, and all that. That said, what are some of the mental, you know, challenges that caregivers go through?
Thank you, thank you. I think a number of them go through trauma. I remember one friend of mine, after the dad passed away, and she was a caregiver. She still suffers from trauma, and then the trauma would come from seeing the dad yell, you know, seeing the dad call, maybe the diapers have not changed, and just seeing the way the dad would sometimes, you know, behave. So that has remained a trauma for her. And so what we are doing, we are trying to unresolve those trauma. Another thing they go through, they go a lot of panic attacks. So you're living with this person, you don't know where they're going to go, and what you're going to tell maybe your family. So they are that place of, this person is not getting well, neither are they going. No, you are there, a rock and a hard place. So it leaves you at a place of a panic mode. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And of course, they go through a lot of also financial strain, because even as they're taking care of this person, sometimes they're neglected, or they neglect themselves. They don't take care of themselves. So that you won't come home and say, now you're not even taking care of our parents. So they go through a lot. A number of them will not even tell. Sometimes they tell me, I don't know what I'm feeling. I can't tell where I am in all this. So mentally, they're not okay, I would say, most of them,
Yeah, because after all that load, I want to believe, comes a time when you've forgotten yourself. And so where do you start? I'm just giving an example of a loved one who probably will pass away, and then now you're left like, okay, my life was revolving around this person, and I wake up in the morning, it's a child who was sick, it's a parent or whoever it is that you're taking care of, then all of a sudden you're left there, you do not know where to start with life, because everything was revolving around these people. But let me ask this question. Away from people who could be unwell and all that, but now you're taking care of people who are well able, but for some reason they are not pushing themselves enough in life, and so you're taking care of older people, but you know, older people because financially you're able. At what point should you have boundaries? Can help become detrimental to someone else? Like, can you give too much help, but you're not really helping, but actually making the situation worse?
That's possible, because you could be enabling. See, the person you're taking care of, I'm imagining if they are not sick and they need you, they can also become manipulative in a way. So it is you to know how to create boundary. You have stayed with this person probably more than a month. You already know how they behave. There are red flags, you know, when they are manipulating you. So you as a caregiver need to come up and have strategy. Don't just go and take care of them. Have strategy, and then keep the routine. If they eat at this time and they tell you, I'm not going to eat, then that should tell you, of course it's going to overwhelm you, because they're going to interfere with your routine. So create boundary, have a structured kind of a program. I think that can help you. But I think for me, it is create boundaries. How much is too much? How much do I need to take? So if, let's say, you start talking, maybe abusing me and insulting me, how much am I able to take that? And maybe share it out with the person that maybe has employed you. Yeah, don't just keep quiet about it.
You know, as we wind up, let's talk about some of the red flags, if I may put it, for a caregiver, for you to know that you've actually reached your end. Some people think like, oh, I'm this Superman, I can take this. I think I'm just having a bad day. What are some of those red flags that people need to look out for, so that they're like, okay, yeah, this is what I've been feeling. I'm irritable. I feel like I'm I'm done with this. But you keep on encouraging yourself.
Exactly so. If you wake up and your body will tell you, and your body, the things that you cannot ignore about you. So first of the first thing is taking care of yourself. So what's your mind telling you that day? What is your body, even physically? How are you feeling? So some of the red flag is just what's your mood that day, yeah? And then also, are you getting to a place now you already getting empathizing with this person so much that you've forgotten yourself? So if you're married, you've forgotten that now you're just there for this person, but you cannot be that person. So, and of course, there are those, I mean, sometimes you get sick, you know, and you're going to the doctor, you can't explain what is it. You can't touch on what exactly you're feeling. There are a lot of red flags that would come about. And sometimes you want just to withdraw and get away from people.
Indeed, you cannot be taking care of others and not taking care of yourself, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. Just a reminder that caregivers must look after themselves too. It's all about finding that balance to protect your own well-being while continuing to provide support to your loved ones. Well, now, on a good practice, compassion fatigue can creep in quietly, especially for those in caregiving or high-stress support roles. So it's important to be aware of the warning signs. Tips on a good practice. Steps for mental self-care for caregivers. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. Accept that stress, guilt, sadness, or frustration are normal. Name your emotions. Journaling or talking to someone helps. And avoid judging yourself for struggling. Set healthy boundaries. Learn to say no without guilt. And don't overextend yourself. Delegate tasks when possible. And limit your exposure to toxic or overly demanding relationships. Schedule your time daily. Block out at least 15 to 30 minutes a day just for yourself and use it to do something you enjoy, like reading, walking, meditating. Stay socially connected. Talk regularly with friends or join a caregiver support group and get regular physical activity. Even a short walk or light stretching helps reduce stress and boost mood. Seek professional help when needed. Therapy or counseling is not a sign of weakness. It's a healthy choice. Living to 125 years, well, it's a dream. But there she has it. Mary Wairemo taking care of her grandmother. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Remember, if you've missed any part of this program, you can always check it out on our YouTube channel. My name is Mariambo, and I hope to see you again next time.